Welcome back to Canada's Boxing Channel and part two of Jamie and myself talking all things boxing. We just finished off the Fabio Wardley edition, and we're now moving into the potential of Moses Itauma and Dillian Whyte, which Mike Coppinger and the Ring magazine announced. I guess it was yesterday. What do you think of that, Jamie?
Well, it's notable because I'm a big Elvis fan, and it's on the day, the anniversary of Elvis's death, so I won't forget that.
That's very right.
Yeah.
I remember exactly where I was the day that Elvis died, and I suspect that you can't.
On the toilet, Bob.
No, I wasn't.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, I was. I was a wee lad working in a supermarket warehouse when Elvis passed.
Whoa!
So
right.
Well, not a wee lad, but a young lad.
Yeah. How did you feel? Was you a fan?
Yeah, I was, and I was shocked. A guy told me the king had died, and first thing I thought of was we don't have a king, we have a queen. And then it dawned on me, and I was quite upset,
taken aback,
like wow, because he was only like 42, which is didn't seem that old, but.
No, certainly not. What I'll say, I know this is a boxing podcast, but I will just say, anybody that's interested in conspiracy theories, look up Bob Joyce. He's yeah. But anyway, we digress, don't we, Bob? Come on.
We digress. Let's get on with the show. Moses Itauma and Dillian, the body snatcher, Whyte. What do you think of that, mate?
I think it's the most. I think he's got the strangest nickname going because he's never really been a massively prolific body puncher. I think it's the right fight at the right time, really, for Moses. We were talking about him, and I even said it. Were they worried that maybe he's got a bit of glass in his chin with the last fight, Mike Belosian? But we seem to have got right back on track, and I think that this sort of fight, to the casuals, as everyone likes to call them, Dillian Whyte's a name. Whilst again, I don't agree that he should be anywhere near a boxing ring because he's a prolific head user in the past.
Yeah,
I do believe that it's a name. It's someone that potentially could give Moses rounds until Moses lands an uppercut and puts him on his backside. Well, the Saudis obviously think it's the right name as well because they're paying premiums to get names over to Saudi Arabia. So I think they would have had to pay him. He'll get a nice little payday. He'll get a taste of what both men will, and Moses will get a taste of what it's like in the sort of big leagues, will he? Going over to Saudi like that, and I think he'll put on an impressive performance against Dillian Whyte.
Yeah, I think I was a little surprised. By the way, I think that Dillian Whyte chose the nickname the Body Snatcher not really because he's a big body puncher, but it was because he's from Jamaica and Mike McCallum was from Jamaica. I think it was sort of like a tip of the hat to Mike McCallum. Right,
okay.
Yeah, because he was the original body snatcher from Jamaica, and so Dillian Whyte's from Jamaica, and I think there's that connection, right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
But I was surprised that Dillian Whyte was chosen. I hear you. He's a good name. He's a big name. To me, he's gone to seed, though. To me, he's too far gone in his career to really give Moses what I think Moses needs, which is, quality rounds with an experienced pro where there's some danger. I'm just not sure if Dillian can deliver that anymore.
No, I don't think he really delivers much danger, but I'm thinking as well, at the moment, Frank Warren and Itauma are obviously they're lauding him as the next big thing. And think about it, if you think about it, he's 20 years old.
Yeah.
Dillian Whyte represents the old guard. Let's clear the old guard from the table. And Dillian Whyte won't be Frank Warren's favourite person either because he didn't contribute to the promotion of the
Fury fight?
Fury fight. Exactly.
Yeah.
So let's put him in with this potential killer that I've got. They've obviously got a lot of faith in him. Let's give Dillian Whyte a hiding and clear him off the table, and then the young lion can then carry on moving through the ranks.
Yeah,
I
no,
think
I
it's
see
quite
that.
sensible. Yeah.
I see that, and your point's well made that Frank Warren definitely, well, I say definitely, I mean, I don't know, but I wouldn't be surprised if Frank Warren carries a grudge that Dillian Whyte did the square root of FA to help promote the Fury fights. And take my hat off to Fury because Fury carried that fight promotionally.
They did.
As you know, I'm not a Fury fan, but Fury's very good at certain things, and promotional stuff is in his wheelhouse. It's also a payout, really, for Dillian Whyte, I guess. Dillian's going to get a paycheck that's probably going to be bigger than anything else he could hope to get, and maybe
Yeah.
then that's the last we see of Dillian.
Yeah, retirement fund, isn't it? You know, competitively, I agree with you, Bob. I don't think it's really up there with any like real stiff opposition that Itauma can be provided with. But outside maybe the top 5 or 6, I don't really see anybody. You know how high on Itauma I am, and I'm
Yeah, yeah,
fanboy. But he's a very good southpaw,
yeah.
very good southpaw. He's shown he's got a lot in his repertoire. I just think he's very outside of Usyk. I can't see anybody making him look silly. Let's put it that way. He might lose against people like Josie Parker and that, but I think he'd give a good account of himself against anybody. And all those other names really are going to be tied up. Josie Parker's not going to want to fight at
No,
Talma, is
no.
he?
Well, nobody is
No.
really, right? Like, if you're a top line heavyweight, if you're a contender, you've got this 20-year-old kid who is really freaking talented and potentially dangerous. If you
Yep,
beat him, you just beat a talented 20-year-old. But if you
yeah,
lose, then where do you go from there, right?
exactly.
Um, I, I, I know that we don't want to be putting Moses in with the very, very best, and I was pleased that we didn't get like Otto Wallin because that name was being talked
Yeah,
about, and I'm like,
yeah.
oh no, that'd be a disaster. Um, do you think Jermaine Franklin has still got enough in the tank to give Moses rounds?
That was a name that I was going to mention, but when was the last time he fought? I know
That's
Dillian
yeah,
Whyte, the level Dillian Whyte fought at, arguably in his last fight, was absolute cack. But at least he's
Ebenezer
been in the ring.
Tete.
Or was it Ebenezer Tete?
Was it Tete?
Right. Yeah, I think it was, but it was in Spain somewhere, wasn't it, or something?
Gibraltar, maybe?
Yeah, that's it, Gibraltar. So not Spain. Hey, I don't want everyone shouting at me. Hey, that's our rock, not theirs.
Yeah. Of course, that's a potentially sensitive issue.
Oh, exactly. Sorry.
When's Mr. Starmer going to give that away?
I know exactly. Anyway, let's not chat politics. But no, I mean Ebenezer Tete. I mean he's another sort of corpse, isn't he? So he is a corpse, but at least he's given the opportunity to Dillian Whyte to sort of shake those old legs of his. Jermaine Franklin, I can't even tell you when he last fought full stop. So I
Um,
think more sensible option, perhaps.
yeah, Jermaine Franklin. I'm just looking it up on BoxRec. He actually had a fight in 2024, May of 2024, so just over a year
Yeah,
ago. And then he
quite a
had one
way.
in July of 2023, and then he in April of 23 is when he lost to Joshua. Then he's had two
Yeah.
fights since then. Um, yeah, he's 23-2, so he, inactive, of course, but he might give Moses some rounds.
Yeah, maybe. Um, it would be a good idea. Yeah, I mean, but I just think the activity level. I know, and that would worry me as well because you don't want to be having complete cobwebs against a man like Moses Itauma. And even
Moses
though,
Moses is very switched on, isn't he?
yeah, very switched on. I don't want this to just be a loving. Because I don't normally get on the train. I'm normally one of those, let's see what he's like under real pressure and all that. But whereas, like, I'm just looking at his skill set, he reminds me of a heavyweight, you know, a heavyweight version of maybe Kell Brook.
Really?
Like, yeah, so light on his feet, he can switch. And Kell Brook wasn't like absolutely immense, but a heavyweight shouldn't be moving and being able to switch and throw shots as quickly as Moses does. Do you know what I mean? Tyson Fury turned around, and whether it was tongue in cheek or not, I'm sure he said he wouldn't want to fight Itauma. So I think that says everything, doesn't it? If he's actually come out and saying it rather than swerving it.
Yeah, I think that, as you know, I find it sometimes hard to say positive things about Tyson Fury. But Tyson
Hmm.
Fury does know his boxing, and he's a very good student of the game. And
Yeah,
and he's probably being very frank there. Like, yeah, why would I want to fight this 20-year-old who's really, really, really good, right? Like Tyson will be aware of his limitations, right?
yep,
Um, I know I hear you about Moses. When I had Julian McGowan on here on a coach's corner session, and I asked Julian to sort of break down what Moses does right, and it was really informative. It was, it's like maybe he is the real deal, right?
yeah, I believe so.
And I'm surprised he's also. I know this sounds funny, but he is actually a pretty big guy as well. Like he moves very quickly for a
Yeah,
very big man.
250, and he moves like a middleweight. So you know what I mean? I think that's going to cause speed kills, doesn't it? I think that's going to cause all sorts of problems. And you couple that with timing. I think I said this on the last sort of get together we had the ensemble cast. Um, Conor McGregor of UFC fame, he said that timing beats speed. Thing is, Moses has got both of those.
Yeah,
So I
he's
just
got
think,
timing, speed, and he's got 250 pounds behind it. So
yeah,
he's
exactly. So
he is very, very good.
could
Um,
potentially be a full package. So
yeah, well, I'm kind of looking forward to see what Dillian White can do. Though, I mean, I don't want to sound like I'm always moaning, but Dillian White is a bit too far gone, in my opinion. But
right then, Bob. Well, after this fight, a name sprung into my mind before, and I say this because he beat the heir apparent, so to speak, F.A. Ajagba. He didn't
it's,
win the fight, but he drew it, and he
he,
gave,
he
he
gave
beat
Bacoli,
Bacoli.
he gave Bacoli a very difficult night, didn't he? Bacoli was very, very lucky, in my opinion, to get that draw. To be honest with you,
Yep,
um,
and I think it'd be good. It'd introduce Moses to the. Because correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Ajagba's still with Top Rank.
I
I
think so. Yeah,
think
he boxes out of
right.
He boxes out of Texas, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the American audience there, and you crack America. He's not. I mean, it's not necessary in the heavyweight sphere nowadays because all the best heavyweights are from Europe since the Klitschko times. But it can't help, can it? Trying to crack America. I think that would be a really good. That'd be a really good step forward as well.
A Jagba would be very good. Uh, Guido Vianello, is it Vianello? Vianello?
Yeah, no, yeah,
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 he might be good. Yeah, I think actually it would be good for him to go to America to
yeah.
actually, we discussed that once before, but I think that would be a really good developmental opportunity for him. And we got to remember, like he is only 20.
He's a baby.
He's been knocking out grown men when he was a teenager. Like I
Yeah,
guess we should put it in perspective, right?
he gave Lawrence Okoli, and Lawrence Okoli admitted this on a broadcast. He gave Lawrence Okoli all he could handle and more in sparring when he was about 17.
Yeah, well,
And Okoli,
apparently he used to show up
yeah,
to gyms in his school uniform, right?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So so forgive me for being really, really high on the lad, but I just think he's a bit special, and it's quite nice to see, especially with the end of Usyk's career looming, and I think the end of Usyk's career will be made more of a priority to him now his best friend's retired as well. I think he might look to the horizon and think, yeah, I'll be done soon as well.
Yeah, I mean, you mean Lomachenko, right?
Lomachenko, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, another great fighter, eh? Like, arguably the best amateur career ever, I think.
Yeah. He lost once and then he avenged the loss 4 times or something like that.
You know, double Olympic gold medalist.
Yeah, world
Yeah,
champion.
very, very difficult to argue. To not put him in that real small group of people who've had absolutely stellar amateur careers, and then of course followed it
Yeah,
up with a really good pro career as well, right?
exactly.
Um, I don't know if it's been well, it's not been confirmed, I don't think, but there has been a lot of talk of, and we talked about it once before here, of Joseph Parker and Chisora. That's Chisora's final thing, and it seems to have gotten traction. It's not just it wasn't just us that was talking about it. I saw some other places. Do you think there's any
Yeah.
possibility that could happen?
No, there's a possibility, but because he brings money in, doesn't he, Chisora? And Parker, whilst you're waiting for, to move forward in your career, whilst you're waiting for Usyk and Dubois and all of that jazz, why not go and fight Derek Chisora and kill some more of his brain cells? I don't think it should happen. I think it's a go backwards fight for Joseph Parker, but probably will.
You know, you say that Parker's waiting for his chance to go forward. So Parker's the WBO interim, right?
Interim.
So the
Yeah.
WBO is next up for the mandatory, I think.
Hmm.
So if Usyk wins, then it would seem to follow reason that Usyk's next fight should be is defend is mandatory. Joseph Parker is that mandatory, right?
Yeah.
But supposing Dubois wins against Usyk on the 19th,
Don't
surely to
swear, Bob.
good, huh?
Don't swear at me.
Surely to goodness, um, Usyk will be allowed to have a trilogy to even it up. Like,
Well, yeah, but I mean, the IBF won't think so, will they? So let's face it, he's going to get stripped to the IBF if he wins that and decides to carry on. But maybe the WBO would be more lenient. Maybe you just need to pay him step aside money.
maybe, I don't know, but
I meant Dubois. Like Dubois wouldn't be IBF champion if he won. See what I mean? I just can't envisage. I can't envisage that happening. It's not going to happen.
so if Dubois becomes undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, oh,
Yeah.
I really struggle to say that sentence.
I know.
Um,
Yeah.
he surely would not fight anybody until he had the rubber match with Usyk. Which means that Parker would be waiting at least another 9 months or a year or something.
Yeah, so stay sharp. So, that's where it would make sense, really, Bob. Going back on what I said there, do you think he's a good fight? Do you think he should be having that sort of fight?
From a business perspective, I can see that it would be a fight that would pay good money because for reasons which maybe I don't really see too clearly. Chisora is a big draw. He's a big ticket seller.
Yeah.
And it would be his 50th, his farewell. It would be a trilogy. You could dress that up. So from a business perspective, yes. You could also say that Chisora's having an Indian summer and he might do well. I don't buy that.
No.
It would pay well, and it should be a highly winnable fight. So yeah, do I want to see it? No.
Well, let's it depends what medium you start hearing it on, because let's face it, Talksport, in my opinion anyway, is the channel that endorses WWE matches. Like, this is a WWE boxing kind of match, isn't
I
it?
think
Like,
I think it's
oh,
from them that I heard it actually
well,
as
there
well.
you go. So it's probably likely to happen then, isn't it? Because they've got the direct line to the promoters, and they love spreading crap, and it's just a load of rubbish. It's playground boxing. Well, playground talk. That's all Talksport is. That's what it should be called.
Yeah,
Playground talk.
I'm quite I'm quite tired. Maybe tired is the wrong word. I'm a little bit jaded with these so-called sort of fantasy matches. With
Yeah.
the whole. I don't know whether it's the whole sort of uh, Mayweather, McGregor, Tyson Fury and Ngannou, Jake Paul, like all these sort of like.
Misfits.
It is really. It's the kind of thing that when we're sitting around in the pub and having a few beers, we throw out these sort of ideas, but nobody really wants them to. Nobody really thinks that they're serious, but now
No.
they are becoming serious, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm more interested in matches like we were talking about of say an Itauma and Hergovich, which is like you sit back and you're scratching your head and you're thinking, wow, I can see a path to victory for both guys.
Yeah, it's serious. It's a serious match. And I think what hasn't helped is the fact that the Saudis have thrown their hat into the ring, and they've been giving people the fights they've wanted. So anything else is just a pale imitation. And you're just thinking, well, what's the point of that? You know, been spoiled in the last couple of years.
Yeah, the difficulty with a sport like boxing, where you've got a large group of people who possibly aren't that really serious fans, is they might want to see a fight that actually then like more serious fans don't want to see. Kind of
Yeah.
causes a bit of a schism in the sport.
Yeah. Understandable.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's
I,
like some people might want to see Manchester United play against Swindon, but I would imagine that many people would say that's probably not a football match they want to watch.
well, without causing controversy, Bob, I think Swindon have beat Manchester United at the moment, but it's just absolute. They're rubbish nowadays.
I'm
They
not
make
gonna
no
I'm not
no
gonna
difference.
I'm not gonna step into that one. I had
No.
somebody I had somebody criticize me for calling football soccer, and I pointed out that actually soccer was the word that was started off in the UK. You know,
There you go. There you go. I
Football
mean,
Association.
I always used to say that, like, I used to have a go at, like, America. I know you're not American, Bob, you're Canadian, aren't you? But I used to have a go at the Americans and, what, American terminology and terms and stuff like that. And then I was reading that actually, like, the American accent and the American way of speaking was how we spoke when the Pilgrims landed in America. So technically, they're
Yeah,
probably
yeah,
right.
yeah. No, technically, they're
Like,
more
yeah,
accurate. They're
humble,
more accurate. Yeah.
yeah, eat
Um.
humble pie, yeah.
Yeah. Um. Before we leave this, we've been talking about Usyk and Dubois. Um, have you have you seen have you seen much sort of in the UK build up about this fight? More generally, is it or is it what I'm getting at? Is it one of those fights that's transcending boxing?
Not,
Is
not, not from what I've seen. No, it's more. I mean, it ramps up on fight week, more than anything. But at the moment, all I'm seeing really is the feud angle, or this fake feud, and they
yeah,
just keep going on about the low blow that wasn't a low blow. And I think as much as you don't like George Fox, I don't like him either. He needs a slap. And as much as you don't like Don Charles, what they are doing really is genius. Because even if they are painting Dubois out to be the bad guy, he needs a role because he hasn't got a personality that's strong enough to, you know, paint a role for himself. If he's going to be the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, if he can win,
yeah,
then he needs to have some sort of character, really, to make a massive success of it. So putting themselves in that pantomime villain role before the fight,
yeah,
I mean, I think it's going to get him badly beaten up by Usyk. But if it doesn't, at least then you can say, well, Dubois got a bit more of a personality. Look at the team around him and all that.
yeah,
They're trying to
yeah.
pull. They're doing it for him. But that's just my opinion.
And of course, Don Charles and the others, they can also be let go by Stan Dubois if they go too far or they're embarrassing the fighter or whatever. They can get the pink slip or redundancy notice, whatever.
Yeah, basically.
And it
So
does, yeah.
yeah, I'm
I'm
like
gonna.
you. I don't like them, but I think it's a necessary evil in today's boxing world.
It's a pity that we seem to need a lot of this sort of promotional hype, because I think there are many of us who, well, we Wardley and Hooney. That's a
Yeah,
good example. There was no bad mouthing, trash talking, yo mama this or yo mama that or whatever. There's
no,
just
you didn't
two,
need it.
no, just two guys who are, athletes who demonstrating their professional abilities.
Exactly. It's the love of boxing, isn't it, that
Yeah,
draws you in there.
and and on a much lower level, Dave Allen and Johnny Fisher. They didn't, you know,
No,
none of this sort of, trash talking and all that. It's just not necessary. But
no, no.
I guess today it possibly, we live in that TikTok world, right? So
Yeah,
maybe
so it's very unfortunate. It's very
maybe it is.
unfortunate.
Well, my friend, I noticed a little timer in the top corner there. I thank you very much and thank you for being flexible because it's my day to go into town. So I appreciate you being flexible and coming on more early.
No,
So,
it's fine, mate. It's been my pleasure.
and thank you very much. And thanks everybody for watching. And it's goodbye from me and goodbye from Jamie.
See you next
Please,
Sunday.
please like, share, and subscribe. And we'll see you next Sunday. Cheers,
Take
Jamie.
care. Bye-bye.
Thanks, mate. Bye bye now.
Bye.